Hi, welcome to today's video and thanks for joining me. Today we're going to be talking about a withdrawal strategy. If you're like many Canadians who are nearing retirement, you've spent decades of depositing money, investing money, and now you're at a point where it's time to withdraw that money. But like most people, you haven't put a lot of thought into that withdrawal strategy. It seems kind of confusing how to integrate all these different ideas, like when to begin your CPP, if you have a pension plan, a private pension plan, having a large RRSP or having a LIRA account, all this, and having other sources of income like rental income. How do you put all those pieces together? This thumbnail that you clicked on, the black thumbnail, is always about the transformation. What happens as a result of getting a retirement plan done? So let's get into this video. Specifically, we're going to look at an RRSP meltdown. It's for a couple, RRSP meltdown. We're going to look at specifically how to put or where the senior living or independent living lifestyle expense might go. So if you're thinking you might downsize your home and then move into a lifestyle community, this video is all about that. Just let the cat out of the bag too. We're going to be looking at downsizing, where that money goes after you sell your home. Lots of things that you're trying to figure out is going to be in this video. So stay tuned. Looking forward to your comments and questions. Hit that subscribe button and that notification bell. And by the way, a little side note, you may want to hit a like or put a comment in because the algorithm has changed and you're finding it difficult to see all the videos that I've been producing. So you may want to just do that to get the algorithm working towards you to see my other videos. Okay, without further ado, let's get into today's video. Right, we're now looking at a full screen of the planning software, and I'm going to zoom in so you can see all the different areas here. But essentially what we're looking at from left to right, I'll work you through this. This is a combined view. So this is a couple, we'll call them Bob and Mary. You can see the top left hand corner there, and they're going to retire and they want to begin using their financial assets, so their cash. And then also they had very specific ideas about when to take CPP, and we have a long conversation about when that might be, why they're choosing certain ages. But let me take you left to right so I can familiarize you with the categories, and then I'm going to take you into the withdrawal strategy. So on the left hand side of the screen you see the year, their ages, and then we get into the expenses. So this is by far one of the biggest things you have to pay attention to in retirement, and that is understanding where you're going to spend your money. People always are asking this one question: do we have enough money to retire? And the only way to know that is how much you're going to spend, because that's really like how much money you're burning through every month or every year. That allows us to figure out, will you have enough money? So the first part of your retirement is knowing how much it's going to cost. In this case, a couple wants to spend $50,000. That's how much money they need in their hands. So you think about it this way. If you were trying to plan your retirement and you said, if we had 50,000 or 70,000, whatever your number is, if you said, if I had that in my hand every year, that would be enough for us to do these following things. So that's where that real column comes into place. That is what it costs you to pay your property tax, buy your groceries, gas in the car, a car payment, going out for dinner. But it does not include depositing money to investment accounts. It does not include any payments to any loans, that kind of thing. It's really just about running your home, basically, your basic lifestyle expenses. We have to figure out, does your assets pay for your, as a basic minimum, just to keep you in your home buying groceries, right? Then what we do is we layer in all of your wants. You want to take vacation, you want to do some renovations, you want to replace your car, you want to give money to your kids or whatever you want. Those are your wants. So the first part is, these are your needs. That's that $50,000 real column. Then your wants. The next column is the nominal column. That's just the same number for the 50,000 except adjusted for inflation. Make sure that your purchasing power, you understand the amount of money you need every year is being eroded by inflation. So we have to show you what that means to you. That, let's say at age 65 for this couple, when they are spending $40,000, it's actually $46,000. So it's just inflation number. The next column over, we're going to add on some expenses. So the couple say they're going to spend in 2026 $20,000. at some point, a couple times in their lifetime. You can see this screen is only going to age 76 because it's too long, right? It's going off to age, I think, 86, 87 years of age. So there's another time where they're going to be replacing a car. That would be true of you. You're likely going to be replacing a car 2, maybe 3 times, depending on how long you live. And then you can see this next column called assisted living. Call it senior living, call it retirement community living, whatever you want to name it. Essentially, this couple's goal was, we're going to live a certain number of years in retirement. Then we're going to sell our home, downsize, put that money into an investment account, and we're going to move into sort of like a retirement lifestyle community. You know, the kinds where it's a building and they're cooking meals for you. Now, just a word about this kind of lifestyle living. This could be full-on assisted living where they're cooking and cleaning and bathing you, or it could be partially. It could be where you have a suite. They'll come in and clean for you. They'll have meals prepared for you downstairs in the dining hall, but it's not assisted living. They're not providing any medical care for you, that kind of thing. So there's different kinds of care and there's different kinds of living arrangements. In this particular case, we've set aside in today's dollar about $72,000 of annual expenses, at least in the GTA. If you're looking for that kind of living where you want a nice suite and you want maybe cleaning involved, so they'll come in and they'll clean your place for you, it's going to run you about $6,000 a month. So we are saying $72,000, but this is going to begin at age 65. So that $72,000 at 65 is actually going to be more like $83,000. Okay, so we're factoring in the future cost, not just today's cost. Okay, let's go really quickly across, and then we're going to get into the withdrawal strategy. So we have the combined benefits, CPP and old age security in the next column, the kind of taxes that people are going to pay throughout their lifetime. And then the middle section is called the financial assets. This is just your cash. And in this case, we've got a non-registered account, a TFSA account, an RRSP, which is going to be a RRIF, and then they've got a LIRA, which is going to be a LIF. So lots of things happening. You're going to love this video because we get into all the complicated issues that you're dealing with right now. When do I take my LIRA and convert it to a LIF? How do I move the 50% over? So we're going to be getting into all of that. You're going to love it. And then the combined total of how much money this couple has. So you can see they're beginning their retirement with just over $2 million. Then they sell their home, and if you track down the next column, it says real assets, that's their home. So we can see that if we track down to age 65, they sell their home, and they're putting $811,000 into their investment accounts. And I'm going to show you where it goes in just a minute. They have a nominal amount of life insurance that they're carrying through their life, mostly for final needs. And then on the far right side is really just talking about what their estate balance is going to look like, okay? That is a financial plan. And now I'm going to show you, that's what you would find when we do your plan for you. You have all these different areas that we're having to have a lot of conversations about. Now I'm going to show you a tax efficient withdrawal strategy, melting down the RSPs, integrating CPP, and also moving the LIRA to a LIF to the 50% to the RSP. You're going to love it. Here we go, okay? But we're only going to look at the one spouse. So let's dig into the left-hand side. Left-hand side is the years going by, the age of this person, and then their share of the expenses. We take the total expenses of the couple, and we are dividing it sometimes in half, not quite, depends on how much assets one spouse has or the other. And mind you, by the way, I'll just share one thing. I'll go back one screen. You'll notice on the left-hand side under the expenses that when the couple begins their assisted living or senior living at age 65, you'll notice that we're taking about $10,000 off of their expenses for the year. So we're subtracting out, essentially we're subtracting out property tax, kind of the utilities that would be associated with having a home because they sell their home, but their lifestyle stays the same in terms of they want to go out for dinner, they want to spend money on clothes, they're still going to travel. The only difference here is they're not paying property tax and utilities anymore. So that's just a less of expense. So they drop from 50 down to 40, but we pick up another, $83,000 worth of expenses. So it's not so much that, just trying to show you the detail here that we're being very careful about. What are all the expenses? What are you going to add and what is going to be subtracted at certain times of your life. Let's dig into this withdrawal strategy. So if you look at the left-hand side, you'll notice right away CPP is at the first line in 2027. The couple wants to take CPP right away at age 60. Now, in fact, this was a personal decision. We go into the math about how much money you're going to not receive from Canada Pension Plan because you take CPP early. We show you that. But this person believed that they were more concerned about dying too early than living a long time, and so they wanted to take their CPP early. That's a personal decision, and okay, that's what you want to go with your plan. Let's do your plan that way. And so we're mindful of that, about your own personal decisions, and we do your withdrawal strategy based on that. So with that in mind, CPP is beginning at age 60 for this one spouse. So we track across and we look at the assets that we have in order to pay for all those expenses. So you'll notice I'm going to go past the RSP and I'm going to skip to the lira, right? So that's right in the middle of the column. And you'll notice what we're trying to do here is we need to now change this lira to a LIF. Now the lira had $800,000 in it. And so we've taken half of that out, $400,000, and we moved it to the RSP. So the very beginning of this plan, the person doesn't have a lot of money in their RSP. They have the $500,000 there because we've moved $400,000 from the lira to the LIF. So the process is very simple. You're going to go to your advisor and you're going to say, I want to start my LIF. Convert your lira to a LIF. And if you're in a province where you can take 50% of your LIF one time, then they'll take 50%. So the first step is convert the lira to a LIF. The second step is then to take 50% of the LIF and move it to an RRSP or a RRIF. So we're doing that. So we're moving it to an RRSP. And then the following year, you can see in 2028, the couple or this individual starts their RRIF. So they've got a LIF payment coming out right away. So essentially what you would do is, let's say December of one year, you convert your lira to a LIF, and then January you start receiving the income. So that's sort of usually we see the timing of that kind of thing. In this case, the couple is going to do a maximum LIF withdrawal to get out of their LIF before the end of their lifetime, right? And then you see in 2028, this person starts their minimum withdrawal in their RRIF. Now, why are we not doing, I said we're going to do a RRIF meltdown or an RRSP meltdown. In this case, it's a RRIF right away, so it's a RRIF meltdown. But we're not doing a meltdown in the first 4 years. Why? Because the tax rate, if you look across to the effective tax rate, with the RRIF minimum at that age, their tax rate's already 16%. And I want to try to keep the lowest tax rate, the flattest tax rate throughout their lifetime. If I was to do a meltdown in the 61, 62, 63, and 64, that would increase their tax rate. So what we're doing is we're doing a RRIF minimum withdrawal. Then when the person turns 65, we're actually starting to melt down their RRIF because their tax rate allowed us to do that. And the reason for that is because you see right over there, pension splitting is happening. The person is splitting off $20,000 of their income to their spouse. So that allows us to do more withdrawals in the RSP or in the RRIF in this case. If we weren't doing that, their tax rate would go up because we couldn't split off the income. So this is financial planning right in front of you. The couple gets to move $20,000 to the one spouse, and that allows the other spouse to be able to draw down on their RRIF more than they would have, saving tax. It's exactly how this works. And you can know that throughout that whole timeline, it's about 17% tax rate. So this person melts down their RRIF, gets out of the RRIF, whatever they're not spending gets put into the tax-free savings account. Now you'll see in the far right-hand side, every year this person is putting in maximum annual contributions to their TFSA. Their TFSA gets really, really high by the time the person is 86 years of age. Same with the other spouse. And whatever cannot go into the TFSA would then be deposited to the non-registered account. And you can see their years. The first 2 years, they're actually doing withdrawals out of their non-registered account. And then we've got 5 years of deposits, especially in the year in which we sell the home. So that's a good segue to doing a downsize. Okay, so now we get to the part where the couple says, we're 65, we want to sell our home and move into the senior living environment or the lifestyle community. So where does the money go when they sell their home? So you'll notice here, just as a side note so you don't get too confused, real estate assets, we typically split the value of that equally between each spouse, 50-50. That's why you don't see 800,000 there. So the house, the half the value here, half the money is being put in one spouse's hand and the other half's going to the other spouse. So I'm only going to show you one half because it's nearly a duplicate on the other spouse. So you'll notice here they sell their home and you see the money is now deposited into the non-registered account because they've already filled up their TFSA. If they hadn't have been filling up their TFSA, they would have filled up all of their unused contribution room and then the rest would go to the non-registered. In their case, they have always put in their maximum contribution each year. So all of the money has to go to the non-registered account. And then going forward, so they're 66 years of age, 2033, and that timeline, they're using up some of their non-registered account to pay for lifestyle. Mostly, that's going to pay for the senior living expense, right? So the sale of the house is providing the resources to the cost of the senior living. That is absolutely a tax efficient withdrawal strategy. We have figured out through a conversation with the client when they want to take CPP and old age security. We are maximizing the tax effectiveness by being mindful of when pension splitting can occur. So we withhold doing the RRIF meltdown right away, and then we do it later. We've taken a LIRA, moved it to a LIF, moved 50% of the money to the RRSP, and then a maximum withdrawal on the LIF to get out of the LIF by the time they've passed. And then being mindful of the withdrawal, the meltdown of the RRIF, we're being mindful of the tax rate all the way through to keep a very level tax rate. And of course, selling their home and putting the non-registered account, that's when you have to talk to you about how do you manage a larger non-registered account, what kind of investments to put your money in order to not have such a big tax bill, namely something like a dividend fund or a preferred share type of arrangement. That is a tax efficient withdrawal strategy using a RRIF meltdown and having senior living included in this type of thing. What do you think? Did you like that kind of walk through a plan? Hit that like button and share this with anybody that needs to see this. Got a question for you. Does your plan include all of your lifestyle goals? When you are talking with your advisor and you're talking about your withdrawal strategy, are you bringing up the fact that you need to replace a car, that you want to give money to the kids? How much money would you love to spend on vacation? What about a downsize? What is the tax implications of doing that? Is your plan accommodate all of those kinds of things in your plan? Because it ought to. Because if you're not, then you're really not having a tax efficient financial plan and withdrawal strategy. Well, it was great to see you in this video. I really appreciate you tuning in. Remember to like and share this video. Comment below. I want to read your comments. And again, it was great to see you. Thanks and be well.